part one is which has been, my whole life up until now. But part one is more or less completed, and now it's on to part two, and that's performing in the sport. That's basically succeeding in Formula One, and that's obviously now the goal. So I think I spent obviously so many years focused on just trying to get there, and it's very quickly changed into now needing to perform and focusing on trying to achieve what I need to in Formula One. For me, it's short term. It's basically performing in the team I'm in right now, performing in the car that I'm in, and doing enough to stay in the sport. And long term, that's winning a world championship, and that's basically working towards achieving that as soon as possible, obviously. But there's many things that need to happen before I would be even in a position to be able to do that. So, and that right now is just with VCAB this year, trying to score points is the target. And trying to basically put myself in a position where I'm staying in the sport, and then even looking at obviously being promoted in the future as well. That's the goal.
Is there an indication of where your future actually is beyond these 6 races?
I guess I've been given this opportunity for a reason, but obviously it's always performance based. And to be honest, even when you have a full year contract or a multi-year contract, those can be broken anyway, and the sport is all performance based, and that's what the teams are looking at. So it's not sort of set in stone. It's not like I'm guaranteed racing next year. That's the target. That's why they've given me this opportunity, is to prepare for hopefully driving next year. But obviously they still need to evaluate as well how I go in the car. So there's indication, but it's not set in stone.
Obviously, there's 2 sides to these sorts of moves, one being you, the other one being Daniel. Everything you hear about Daniel is that he is the most genuine person on the grid. I don't think anyone's had anything bad to say about him. Do you have any dialogue with him since this has all happened?
Yeah, I think all throughout the last 12 months, from when he broke his hand to me jumping in, to him stepping back in after that, and then all the way up until this point now, with everything that went on last weekend, it's all been. I've never felt in competition with him, which is strange because I have been, and as we all sort of are in competition with each other, whether we're in the seat or not. He's always been good to me, and sort of supportive of my situation versus his. Is obviously we're at very different points of our careers, and he's always been supportive of my career starting, let's say. And so obviously Singapore was a bit rough. It wasn't an enjoyable weekend for I would say either of us, especially for Daniel. Both knowing what was coming, and obviously him having to avoid answering questions, and I just avoided doing any interviews, to be honest, at all. So that side of it wasn't fun. But since Singapore as well, like after the race, he told me, he said good luck with everything, and he said make sure you make the most of this opportunity, and that's how he's always been towards me, which has been honestly really cool.
How much time have you actually spent behind the wheel of this car?
I've spent half a day this year behind the wheel of this car. We did a test in Monza. It was a tyre test, so which was good. I got to do a decent amount of laps, but we only did 50% of the day, so I've probably done 50 laps in this car.
So what does the next couple of weeks look like? Are you just in the sim, or is it you get a bit more time on track?
No time on track, just simulator is really all we can do before Austin. I haven't driven Austin either in real life, so it's going to be it's a sprint weekend. It's going to be a challenge. Obviously, it's not going to be an easy weekend, not a smooth entry back into F1. But we'll basically spend the next couple of weeks doing all the preparation that we can for it.
This is a really ruthless sport, and now most of the dialogue this year has been, when is it going to be Liam's chance? But I think realistically, like you said, if you don't perform, there will be questions. I mean, obviously you'll have come to terms with that because you've been in it for long enough, but what's the mindset now when that is just your reality?
I think it's just always been like that, to be honest. Like it's always been perform or you're out, and there's been many times over my career where, especially with Red Bull, that it's been close. But even from the first sort of backing that I had from New Zealand, getting that first bit of money together from the amazing people in our team, you know, they had to believe in me for a period as well when I was younger, and they had to see performance, and I had to perform enough to get their support. So it's always been like that, honestly. And then obviously the higher you get, the more the pressure builds. And then I had that experience in F1 last year. So it's just always been like that. And I think it always will be like that as well.
Was there ever a moment where you came close to leaving, or was it just committed to Red Bull right through?
I mean, I always had faith in Red Bull, let's say, and at the end of the day, I had a period, a contract date where, you know, I couldn't go anywhere else anyway. But I think it was more, the thing is, you can never, nothing's ever a guarantee in the sport. So as much as I believed in Red Bull giving me the chance and believing, you know, their sort of promise to me, I was never going to just put all my eggs in one basket and have no sort of backup. So I definitely had communication with other teams just to see what was out there and to see what was potentially possible. But at the same time, you know, I was told I'd be given this opportunity by Red Bull, and they obviously kept their word to me. So I always wanted to stay with Red Bull. I always wanted to drive with Red Bull. You know, the only reason I would go anywhere else in this situation would be if they didn't take me.